Hey guys, welcome back. We're back in the garage, back working on the 289. See, where do we leave off? We left off last time we got the crankshaft installed. One thing I did wrong, and I went back and fixed off camera, was thrust, end play. Both mean the same thing, the amount of play forward and back on the crankshaft. We measured it in before it was tight. It was 0.02 of an inch, but that's too tight. On this block, it's between 4 and 8 thousandths of an inch. So what I did to correct that was loosen the number 3 bearing cap. This is where the thrust bearing is located on this particular engine. Just broke the torque, loosened it, and then using a pry bar between the crank and the block, work the crank back and forth to align this cap with the engine to get it forward or back, seated either way, to get the two halves of the thrust bearing aligned, and then torqued it down, and then rechecked the thrust at the snout of the crankshaft. And then it did come in at 4 thousandths total forward and aft end play. So we're now in spec on the crankshaft. So today, kind of going out of order because I'm waiting on tools. Just like going out of order, waiting on tools. Ordered a rotary ring filer to make fitting the rings easier. But in the meantime, we can check our rod bearings for clearance. And so we'll just put the piston rod assemblies in. That's another thing I did off camera, was install the pistons on the connecting rods. On this engine, it is a press fit. The connecting rod is the wrist pin is a press fit inside the small end, requiring to heat up the small end and press it in. And that was just, I don't have proper facilities here, proper equipment here to do that. So it was sketchy, and so did it off camera to make it so everyone didn't see how not to do it. But it went decently, and they're all done, and yeah, they're fine. So to check for rod bearing oil clearance, gonna just put the piston rod assemblies in without the bearings, or without the rings, and without the rings, with the bearings, and then lay plastic gauge on the rod bearing journals, and check for that clearance. And number we're looking for is between 0.8 and 1.5 thousandths. So 0.0008 and 0.0015 inch. Kind of leaning more towards the 1 thousandths of the inch side, the larger side of that, for proper oiling, so we're not too tight. And this is a used crank, so and it hasn't been ground or has been polished, but it has measured in as serviceable. So yeah, so we're probably going to be on the larger side. And again, we're using Molle Clevite bearings. Part number is, there's the part number, CB634A. And again, we're going to be using the green plastic gauge. That's the word. I'm out of words this week, so please bear with me. So we'll We'll do number one first. We'll have to get tools because we need to torque these down. I believe these are checking my... I know this is for a 80 to 96 F-150, but using the 302, the 302 specifications, they're actually, and then double checking them, they're actually... They're actually the torque specs and the clearances, they're actually coming in as the same with the 289. So some of the things I've had to double check because I think it's the main bearings. Yeah, I think it was the main bearings are different diameter for the 302 and the 289. But yeah, but other than that, all the clearances are the same. All the torques are the same. That been verifying. So connecting rod, nuts, 19 to 24 foot-pounds. So do our math on those, because we'll use an inch-pound torque wrench. So 24 times 12, 288 inch-pounds. And the nuts are 7/16, so we'll get set up for a square for a 6-point socket. I know you guys aren't using this as a guide. I'm saying this out loud in my head because it's been a week. So I'm gonna pause it there, get my tools, and reposition the camera and start checking. So yeah, I'll bring it back in. All right, got our number one piston in, piston rod assembly in, with a bearing on the rod side. I'm gonna spray these down with some mineral spirits to clean any garbage off of them from sitting. Okay, need a piece of... where'd my scissors go? Lay our plastic gauge across. Oh, and one thing I noticed, the internet appears to be wrong about rod orientation on this 289. It says, I don't know if you can see, but there's a number stamped. All these rods and caps are stamped from the factory, 1 through 8, to match because they're matched pairs. It said the numbers were to face the inside of the V. So with the V going down like this, the numbers were supposed to be on the inside. But if you look on the cap, you have 2 chamfers. You got a large chamfer and a small chamfer. This large chamfer matches up with the radius on the on either end of the crank pin. And so, from what I can tell, is it's backwards from the internet. So take that as you will. So unless I get any correction on that, that's how I'm going to do it, because that's how it looks to me. All right. Oh, and also the nuts are 1/2 inch, not 7/16. So got torque wrench set up with at 285, or no, yeah, 285 inch-pounds, because it goes in, my torque wrench goes in units of 5. That's the closest to the 288 target. That's why you have tolerance. And then I'm battery dead? That is weird. Okay. That was odd. Seems to have a defective battery. I don't know, total squirrel moment. I think it charges. Huh. Weird. Only run these down a little bit with the battery, because this thing can do, that can do 35 inch-pounds. Wait, 35 foot-pounds. Oh. All right, that's torqued. We got good rotation on that, because when you're torquing something down, you don't want to just run it down hard and then throw a torque wrench on it, because just because it clicks doesn't mean you're at proper torque, because that torque wrench is going to click if you're over torqued. So you want to make sure you have rotation before it clicks, because like I said, that battery ratchet can do 35 foot-pounds. Okay. A little bit of taper. Yeah, and we're between, yeah, we do have some taper, which using a used crank, kind of expected. But we are between 1.5 and 2 thou, which we are actually connecting rod, bearing oil clearance. We're in the service limit, so on this number 1, we're in the service limit. So before I forget, because I don't know if you can see that in the shadow. Yeah, we end up have a little bit of a taper. This is the thick. Well, that's the thick. That's the. Let me double check. Yeah, the narrows the wide side. The Yeah, where the plastic gauge is narrow, that indicates that's the wide. Where it's narrow gauge is where the plastic gauge is wider, that's the tighter side because it transfers the height into width. Only thing to see that, like, because you're smushing it down, that height that you're smushing down gets transferred into width, and that's how it that's how you determine your clearance by that width of that. So we'll get that cleaned off and go to number 5. Yeah, 1 5 2 6 3 7 4 8, because it's a Ford. And yeah, I'm sure someone will mention some of the wrist pins are a bit tight because the pistons I got were economy pistons. There are no cheap pistons for this. The economy pistons were a good $200 for a set, and prices went up from there. So some of the wrist pins are a little snug. They don't take excessive effort to move the pistons back and forth, so I'm not too concerned with damage when we go to crank this. Just they're a little tighter than ideal. Oh, another thing that reinforces rod directionality is if you look, there is a perfect circle worn on that rod, and it matches the shoulder inside these crank pins. And on the opposite side with the small chamfer, there's just a wide wear area, and that suggests that was riding on a larger surface than just that narrow shoulder. So that's another reason why I was. That's what pointed me towards the directionality of the stamp number being wrong. And then I'll just leave the bearings inside the rods after we. Now, if we find one that's too tight, what we can do is sand the back side of the bearing shell off, not the Babbitt side, the steel side. Yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be. That piston being loose on it, but some of these piston bores, or these wrist pin bores, weren't ideal, and that kind of made it a pain to get these wrist pins perfectly centered in there, because with the connecting rod centered in the piston, that wrist pin's supposed to be centered. I think I'm within a 1/16 of an inch on all of them, but not having the proper tooling made it more difficult. And yeah, so tip the crank over, guide this in. Yeah, that circular wear, that circular rub on that connecting rod, yeah, it matches perfectly with that shoulder. Should have loaded this cap up first. Now it's A little difficult. We can watch the struggle bus. And when putting these caps on, the anti-rotation tabs, more like just, if anyone's had a spun bearing, these aren't rotation tabs. This bearing will spin if it wants to spin. These indexing tabs. Indexing tabs go on the same side. So I'll just, no. Didn't put the plastic gauge in there, but I need 2 hands to cut that, so we'll just let that hang. Cut our plastic gauge. Yeah, no, struggle bus today. Struggle bus. I really should have filmed the disassembly of this engine, because it was rough. All right, got that run down. Swapping around sockets because my 1/4-inch drive has a 6-point. My 3/8 drive is 12-point, and just trying not to beat up my my connecting rod nuts. And we got rotation before clickage. Click. Click. Double check. Molyclevite. Yeah, and these are just standard. These are the standard diameter. Now this one I'm interested in, because this one, on the oil holes on this crank pin, there's some grooving. It's not a peak, more of it's a valley. And when I measured this, it was below the surface. So what I did was I measured it with a micrometer, like right across this groove, and then right next to it. And I was getting the same measurement. Then I used the blade, the narrow jaws on my digital caliper, and found that it was about overall that groove was half a thou smaller diameter than the crank pin. So it was around, yeah, it was less, a little bit, it was less than 3/10,000ths, less than 3/10,000ths. So it's actually within the service limits of this crankshaft. And I polished it using the shoelace and emery cloth method. And it's kind of backyard shade tree, but yeah, it's not a sharp edge. It's a smooth transition, and it's below. And from I also polished out the oil hole, and a flake actually came out of the oil hole that was part of the crankshaft. So my suspicion is there was a burr on that oil hole from the factory, and it got spun around inside that bearing when new. Oh, another thing I forgot to do is put the last time before I put the crank in was put the expansion plug in on the back side of the cam bore and the 3 oil galley plugs. So I did that off camera too, so you didn't have to listen to me grunt while handling this crank engine by hand. Okay, which one of these has a good gauge on it? There we go. And we are greater than 2/1000ths. No, smaller than 2/1000ths, but greater than 15/10,000ths. So again, we're coming up. We're coming up good. She came up pretty uniform for a used crank. So that's it for checking the rod bearing oil clearance. So we'll cut it off there, reposition the camera, and I think we can put the camshaft and the timing set in. Start throwing some more parts in this engine. So yeah, bringing guys back when I'm ready to do that. All right, gonna be installing the camshaft. Camshaft for this is a Summit Racing SUM-3600. It's a you can see lift, intake, valve lift, 449, duration 280 at the intake, and 473, 289 at the exhaust with a 1:6 ratio rocker arm. So that's with the stock rocker arm. And this is the assembly lube that came with it. And I know I'm doing this wrong. I don't have a big old bolt on the end. I'm just kind of... Yep, I did this wrong. There, we're in. Now the camshaft. Camshaft Tanner plate. Torque on this is 96 to 120 inch-pounds. Got the torque wrench set up for 120. Nope. I wanted to put a little blue Loctite on these. Blue Loctite. $20. Yep. that's good. I'm missing something. Ooh, do I need the... Yeah, I do need the long one. Probably won't be able to hold this by hand. Nope. Actually, I'm doing this wrong. Bleep that out. Cam sprocket. Ha! It just may have screwed me. Yep. I just may have screwed myself. Yeah, I just screwed myself. Needed that extra length for that cam sprocket. That's good. Okay, well, it's good to know. That is good to know. So, chalk that up to, now I know what it was. Long versus short, fuel injected versus carbureted. All right. So, what did we learn today? Don't go grinding on your camshaft pin, because you need that 1/10 of an inch for your to accommodate your timing set. I'm an idiot. So have to order some parts. Need to order another pin for that camshaft, and I need to order a Woodruff key for the crankshaft. But we did have some success today. We got the clearances checked for all the cam bearings. They're between 1.5 and 2 thousandths of an inch. We got the camshaft installed. Kind of. We got it stabbed in. We got the camshaft stabbed in, so that's something. So next time we'll probably be fitting the pistons. So thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with me and watching me make my mistakes. But yeah. it happens. At least we caught it here. So I'm going to go find those parts, order them, and see you all next time.